I think that Thunder team really, really are just scratching the surface. We may be seeing the beginning of a dynasty. Think about how young everyone is on this team. Let's start with Jalen. Jalen Williams putting up as the second guy putting up 40 points. That's impressive. They didn't have another creator like him at any point with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he hadn't come into his own yet. I think it's fair to say Jalen Williams is real, and he ain't going nowhere. He is absolutely one of the best that we're seeing right now. And some people are comparing him, and I want to hear your take on this. Comparing Jalen Williams to one of Errol's favorites, Scottie Pippen. Think about this for a second. Scottie Pippen was a relative unknown coming out of high school. He shot up in height, went from being a guard to being a forward, so he had the handle of a guard, and we know he became an all-defensive player. He was an all-NBA player. He was one of the top 50 players back when they did it in the 90s. I wouldn't say he's top 50 now, but he's definitely way close to that. Maybe he's in the fringe. Speedy, I don't know. Maybe we could talk about that. Errol would probably say he's higher than that. But he's close, right? He's close. Where do you see this guy? Could he be the Pippen to Shai's Jordan, Speedy?
If he scores to the higher volume, because I don't think we were thinking him ever as like the super high scoring type, because he did everything else so fundamentally well, and the Thunder have built enough depth where there's not like you don't really have to force anyone to be a second scorer like you've seen with these other teams that have won championships recently. Like take a team like the Milwaukee Bucks. Like if Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday wasn't good enough as a second scorer, like do they win the championship with Giannis being the number one guy? If Jamal Murray doesn't score enough as a second scorer with the Nuggets, do they win an NBA title that same way or even have the playoff success they have? Like, if he does that consistently enough with his defensive prowess and his well-rounded game, yes, it's possible to get to that level. I don't think OKC, though, is built to rely on that right now, and it's not really a question that we have to impulsively have because right now they're up 3-2, and if Jalen Williams has a letdown spot, as long as somebody else steps up in that role, then you're not going to think of, all right, is Jalen Williams and going to be another number two option that could be a Scottie Pippen type long term, or even just to compare it in this generation, one of those superstar players of this generation.
But Speedy, that's kind of what we've talked about. It's like those second half guys, other than the superstars, stepping up and getting in that realm.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. How often do you have a team that's this well built where you don't have to rely on that obvious second guy? And that's where I think right now I think you could definitely do that with Jalen Williams because Chet Holmgren, it took a little while for him to get going in this series offensively, and I think Jalen Williams has kept them, even in the games they were struggling in Game 3, kept them in those games with his scoring prowess, and the way he's played defense has always been great. So, I just don't think OKC – that's always the cliche with NBA fans when I say, oh, whose team is it? Is it this guy or it's going to take over a game? I don't think OKC is built like that. Like, I think you're now seeing, probably – I wouldn't say the Nuggets were necessarily like that, but the Celtics last year and then the Thunder this year, like they have so many different options and ways to win you can go to. Shai's taking over the playoffs, no doubt. Like he's the best player, but like them rotating a second option is still a really good thing for any team to have to be able to game plan against. It's really hard to do. And so if Jalen Williams does take over the scoring from that volume perspective to another level, yeah, you probably are onto something with that fish, but right now, OKC doesn't need to do that because they have so many other guys that they can go to.
When I think of Pippen, I don't think of scoring, really. I think of secondary scoring, but defense, right? And just lockdown defense. And then just being the perfect facilitator of the ball to do exactly what's supposed to be right on the play. Jalen Williams is playing like that. It's hard to say he's not playing like that. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the same length that Pippen had, perhaps. He might be a little bit better ball handler. He might be a little bit better with some of those offensive moves. I mean, he has that Jalen Brunson turnaround. I love watching that. That makes me very reminiscent of Brunson. Makes me wonder what he would have done in this series, but alas, that's not going to be something we can answer. So let's stop pretending that this game's going to be close. They're going to hunt Halliburton every series, every possession, rather, down the court. Every single one. They're going after him on defense. It doesn't matter.
Bob.
McConnell at the end, though, Speedy, in Game 5, right? It was close in Game 5. It was a one-possession game with about 8 minutes left, right? What happens? They give the ball more to Nemhard. And Nemhard, look, I like the defense. Look, he played really good defense on Jalen Brunson. But in that Knicks series as well, he is a butcher on the offensive side. You cannot have him as a ball handler and decision maker. It's like when the Knicks use Miles McBride as a point guard.
Yeah.
He just sometimes dribbles into traffic and throws the ball away.
Yep.
And against OKC, they murdered them at the end of the fourth quarter. We already watched the highlights. That was all in the fourth quarter, back-to-back plays, basically. Not exactly, but within like 3 minutes. It was devastating, and it was just bad offensive basketball, and that's why they need Halliburton to make those correct decisions. Nemhard really shouldn't be in charge of that much of the offense. I think, look, Carlisle is a masterful coach. Maybe the best coach in the NBA this year, the way that he's coached, at least in the playoffs. It's hard to argue he's not, right? I don't think that you can say anything about what he did against, what's his face, who won the Coach of the Year, Cleveland. Kenny Atkinson. Shut them down right away. Got Tom Thibodeau to lose his job. He was outcoached so badly. I mean, think about that for a second. How good of a coaching job he's done. Maybe he has something for him this game. But if they don't have Halliburton at full speed, they're going to attack him on the defensive side.
I don't think he's going to be full speed anyways. But if it's that bad, how many minutes is he going to get? Is he going to try play? Is he going to be productive or not?
And what type of role will he be in is the other question.
I agree. I agree.
Obviously he's going to play and not be used as a decoy. It's not going to be thought of that way. It's just going to be, is he going to be more of a spacing guy to create shots for others? And that's why I'm saying two of those random bench players for Indiana, whether it's the combination of Obi Toppin, like you were saying, Joba McConnell, he had a nice game 5. Is it the combination of Nemhard and Nesmith bouncing back? Is it Obi Toppin playing like he did in game 1? Like you're going to need at least 2 out of those 5 players to be dynamic.
They got options though, right? Like,
I know
guys that have done it.
They're going to need 2 of those guys to get 15
Siakam,
points.
though, Speedy. We've already seen him do it in the series, get in the Eastern Conference Finals, most valuable player. Siakam is able to get over 40 points on his own. He can. He's that good. And he's been good at times in this series. He is their best player after Halliburton. Let's face it, he is their next best player. It's time, just like Jalen Williams stepped up for OKC, that the next best player on Indiana has to step up.
Yeah.
He just has to, or else they have no chance. And I think Siakam will do his best. I bet he has a good game. But without Halliburton, he's going to have to make all like the Gretzky assists tonight. Kind of like what we're saying Pippen did. Where he's making the pass to set up the open shot. It's not that he's doing the direct assist. He's reversed the ball the right way to get there to be an easy decision for the next guy to get the right basket made, either a shot or a pass. And if he can do that, they can get by with it. But they're going to need someone else to handle the ball, because he's going to get hounded full court. I just think OKC is too smart, and they're just going to pressure him because that leg is going to give. He's not healthy. We know he's not healthy. And everybody knows a calf injury, that just makes you vulnerable for other injuries. That's the big problem with the calf injury. And look, how many times have we seen someone with a bad calf or hurt their calf, and then they keep playing on it, and then their Achilles goes? Didn't it just happen to Jason Tatum? Didn't it just happen to him? One of the 5 to 7 best players in basketball.
And that's what
he's
other
playing for a year.
So, but how do you manage that load though?
I mean, it's Game 6 of the finals.
The other thing. This is the one way you can do it, and you saw them dominate against the Knicks at the end of that series, and you saw it even when they came back in Game 1. Is the transition points. Maybe they just got to start with that type of methodology. Whenever you get a rebound, have everyone else be ready to run that quickly, so you don't have to rely on Halliburton handling the ball like a traditional point guard would. And that's the Pacers' mindset. They're trying to play fast. They're the 4th fastest offensive team, and obviously they're one of the top 10 offenses in the NBA during the regular season because of that, and they took it to another level in the playoffs as a result when Cleveland and the Knicks both tried to play those types of half-court defenses. They couldn't because they had to play the transition defense back that way, and it exposed badly the Knicks' half-court defense and perimeter defense especially, and then even against the Cavs, they were making a lot of tough contested shots because of that. So they have to get back to that style of play. So Tyrese Halliburton doesn't get worn down handling the ball as often in the beginning of the game. If he has to do it later in the game if they're down, yeah, you got to try something. Your season's on the line. Yeah, you can make those crazy shots like we saw him do against Cleveland where you have to bring the ball back off a missed free throw. You want to save it for moments like that where you're playing an inbound game and he doesn't have to move as much and he can still create for himself at that point.
As far as Halliburton goes, he's really the most important player in the entire playoffs. What he's been able to do has been absolutely remarkable. We got to give him his flowers a little bit because I do think they're going to get blown out tonight. I don't think this is going to be a close game. I actually am super excited to see the Pacers fans suffer the way that we had to suffer at their hands a little bit. I'm a little bit, Speedy. I'm a little malicious here. It's a great run. If Carlisle comes up with a way to stop it, I mean, power to him. I really just don't see it. If Jalen Williams is going to be that good as the secondary scorer, I don't know what answer you have. You can't stop both of those guys. You don't have enough horses to do it. You're going to need a superhuman effort from Siakam, and you're going to need like Halliburton to turn into like Willis Reed or some shit like that. It's going to be something like miraculous. But we've seen miracles this postseason from the Pacers. You never know. That's why they play the games.